Oswald did what he did for what he thought was a reason. The reason is when he first left high school, he quit high school. It was a dropout there. He then went into the Marine Corps. While he was in the Marines, he was stationed at Asagi Air Force Base in Japan, and he was a radar expert. And also at Asagi was housed the U-2 airplane. He dropped out of the Marines on the story that his mother was ill. She got him some some letters from doctors that said that he was ill. She was ill and that he had to come home. 4 days later, he left for Russia. Now, the man was allowed to stay in Russia. The only thing I could say why is because he brought them a present. He brought them Gary Powers, in effect, because he knew how to use the radar devices to spot the U-2 planes, and Gary Powers was shot down when Oswald was in Russia.
Gary Powers was shot down, I believe, June 60.
Well, Oswald was there. Oswald even wrote to his brother that he was at the trial of Gary Powers, but I think that's doubtful.
I'm trying to brainstorm, remember. June 60, I remember I went to a friend of mine's house in Short Hills, New Jersey, and it's all we talked about. It had probably happened within the prior week or 10 days, and this was like mid-June of 1960. He and his father and I, his mother, continually, 3 days of conversation about this event. And that it would probably cancel the Khrushchev Eisenhower summit, and it did. It did. Then, subsequent to that, as I remember, we were astounded that the Soviets could hit the U-2, which was flying well beyond the limits of their anti-aircraft capability as we understood it. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, so you're saying Oswald said, hey, that may be it, but here's a way you can get at it because it can really only do this.
He probably told them that the plane was up there in the first place and that this is how to get it down,
right.
Being the radar expert that he was. He was an opportunist. Well, in any event, they allowed him to stay in Russia, and he went to work in a radio factory in Minsk where he met his wife and got married and started to make arrangements to return to the United States. The incredible thing is that they let him out of Russia, along with his wife and a child. The Russians don't let anybody out easily. He had to have something they gave them. When he came back to the United States, he went to Fort Worth to live. He wanted to find his utopia. He was looking for his utopia. He thought it was Russia. First he thought it was Marines. Then he thought it was Russia. And he found those were not his utopias. While in Fort Worth, he got a job and got fired, and he went over to Dallas and got another job and got fired. But while he was in Dallas, he took a pot shot at General Walker. Why he did that, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't really care to know. But because of that, his wife said, hey, let's get out of this town before the police catch you. And they went to New Orleans. And they were living in New Orleans when they started to open up with the fair play to Cuba and all that other thing. And he told his wife at that time that he wanted, as she said, both to the Warren Commission and then to the Select Committee, she said that he said he wanted to kidnap an airplane and go to Cuba. Well, she said, well, don't do that. Go down to Mexico and see if you can get a visa to go to Cuba. So he did. He went down to Mexico, and he was told, you don't have the credentials to go to Cuba. Incidentally, subsequently, he was given a visa, but he didn't know it. He went back to Fort Worth, to Dallas, very dejected. He got a job at the School Book Depository building.
And a city or state job?
That's a private job.
Oh, that's a private job.
The School Book Depository was a company that shipped books to various schools as the orders came in. His job was to go around, pick up the books, put them in a basket, then take them down and wrap them and send them out. When it was announced that the president was coming to Texas, of course, he didn't say where he would be or whether he was going to be in Dallas at all. It was doubtful that he'd come to Dallas.
That's correct. There was very much fear that someone might take a pot shot at him from the right-wing lunatic fringe.
Right, which is in Dallas.
At that time, it was perceived to be.
Now, I am condensing this thing away.
Oh, I understand, Alan.
Just to get it in. In any event, after leaving Mexico, he did something to bring to Castro. That's where your story might ring in here. And in his demented mind, he figured if he took a shot at President Kennedy, that would give him the credentials. Now, this, of course, is speculation. The man's dead, and I can't get into his head. But you follow these things down, and you read between the lines of the testimony of various people of both committees, you're going to come to the same conclusion.
So what you're saying, Alan, is that having been successful with delivering Francis Gary Powers with U-2 technical data to the Soviet Union, hey, why not replicate it? I'll deliver my loyalty to Castro's Cuba and communism and utopia. I'll show him I mean business. I'm the guy that shot at Kennedy.
I suppose even further than that.
Okay.
He had to make sure that everybody knew that it was he that shot the president. So he left his gun in a conspicuous place. He left the shells on the floor.
Yes, he did.
He left his clipboard laying there. And he was the only person who did not return to work after the assassination. Now, what did he do? He went over to his apartment. He took a taxi cab, went to his apartment, picked up his pistol and a jacket, and he started heading in a southwesterly direction. He was going to end up at Zangs Boulevard and Jefferson Avenue in Dallas, in that cliff section. On the way, he went out of his way when he spotted a police car blocked down, and went over and shot the cop.
This is Tippett.
Tippett, Officer Tippett. He shot him. Why would he do that? Only to make sure that everybody knew that it was him.
So now they know they really got to chase this guy, Lee Harvey Oswald. There's no more speculation about who's done it.
That's right. He wanted them to, everybody know it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Because where was he headed? If you take on a map of Dallas and you follow Zangs Boulevard, the direction he was headed in, for about 5 miles, is the Redbird Airport. And there all he had to do is stick his pistol in the ribs of a pilot and say, fly me to Havana, where he thought he'd be a hero.
Now, the private aircraft of the small variety at that time had the range and capability of Dallas to Havana.
Yeah,
no problem.
1,000 miles.
8:20 our time at WXYZ. On this anniversary evening of the assassination of John Kennedy, we have in studio Alan Adelson, Jack Ruby's attorney at one point in this whole scenario, and this whole long, trying story that I guess America will always be living with. And with Alan Adelson, Jack Ruby's brother, Earl Ruby, a Detroit businessman. We are indeed fortunate to have both gentlemen here. Gentlemen, I'm really not quite sure if we should entertain calls now, or do you have a little more, Alan, that you'd like to add?
Well,
I'd
like to tell you before we start taking calls how I can prove to you and to everybody listening that Jack Ruby was not part of the conspiracy.
We'll do that. 8:20 our time at WXYZ. You are invited. WXYZ News Talk Time, 8:21. Kevin Joyce with you. Brother Earl Ruby of Jack Ruby, the man who figured in the Dallas story, and Alan Adelson, Jack Ruby's attorney, Detroiter he, both the Detroiters. And Alan wanted to get back and with some redirect here, give us a little more of his information and his speculation, and some of this, I guess, will be found in his new book.
This is not speculation. This is how I'll prove to you that there was no conspiracy involving Jack Ruby to kill Lee Harvey Oswald.
When someone says that to me, then I really want to pay attention. You say you will prove, I'm ready to have you prove.
I have to ask you some questions. Let's suppose you were involved in a conspiracy, and it was your job to kill somebody, and you're not 2 feet away from him, even closer, and you have a pistol in your hand. Where are you going to shoot him?
Where would I shoot him?
Right.
2 feet away, body to body. Body blow is easier than the head. Go for the heart.
Go for the heart. You'd go for the head or the heart, wouldn't you?
I don't think I'd even go for the head because I might miss. The heart's easier. It's dead on.
Okay. Jack Ruby, if he was involved in the conspiracy, and you must understand he understood guns. He was in Texas, and 78% of the men in Texas at that time carried guns. Was a survey we had done. He shot him in the stomach at the point of the 7th rib where it exited the 11th rib. So it's aiming down. And when you do like that, you aren't going to try to kill somebody when you have to kill him, because if you didn't kill him, he would come back and say, hey, this is what's going on, and spill the beans.
He can talk.
He would talk. He didn't know he was going to kill him. He didn't realize he was going to kill him. Possibility is, now, this is again speculation at this point, that because Oswald was a cop killer, they beat the heck out of him in jail. And if anything would have happened to this guy, would have killed him. That's speculation. I don't know. But does that prove it to him?
What about the Friday before that, if he wanted?
Well,
it was all proves to me that he hit him where he hit him, and why he hit him there, I still don't know, Alan Adelson, because maybe he was jostled. I've seen the films. Couldn't get off a clear shot to the head of the heart.
When he came down the ramp, all the news reporters, the media people, were being held back by the police. Oswald was brought out in front of them with these two officers holding him.
There was a pathway made between all these people.
Right. There was a pathway, and he was right smack in front of it. He pulled out his gun and shot him. That was just like that. If he had to kill him, you don't shoot in the stomach. He might live for a while. He might die too, but he might live for a while and still live. Ultimately, I had some.
Sure. And this is Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother.
Jack saw Oswald on the Friday evening at the show-up. If he had intentions of killing him before, how would he know that he would get another chance? He saw him Friday. He was there at the show-up.
That's the name of the bar?
No, that's the police show. The police show. Friday. The police brought Oswald downstairs to let the media talk to him. Friday evening, the day of the shooting, the day of the killing.
Evening, sure. Sorry, you had me confused. I thought you were about the weekend before because a bell went off. It is pretty well established that Lee Oswald had a beer or two at your brother's place once in a while.
No.
Never went in there. Never knew him at all.
Never. Absolutely never. I realized that the MC looking for publicity stated that. Everybody else in the club, the manager, what was his name? Never.
So this MC's statement was never corroborated?
Right.
In fact, it was refuted?
Right.
To your satisfaction?
Absolutely.
All right. So the Friday in question is the day after the shooting?
The same night.
Same night of the shooting. Was it Friday? Yes.
And how would he know he had a chance to shoot him then? Because he was standing up on the platform.
Line up.
Right.
Is what you're...
Well, there was really not a line. It was only Oswald himself. There were no other criminals or...
Okay.
Up in line. He was up on a little...
On the stage.
On the stage, like. And he could have shot him very easily then.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. And how did he know he was going to get another chance if he was in order to kill him? So, which proves that he wasn't ordered. It's just he always was impulsive. And that's probably why he shot him.
You indicated to me.
And actually, I asked Jack why he shot him. And he said the main reason was when he came through that doorway, he came out with a snicker on his face, as though he was happy he had killed our president. And that's what turned Jack off. And he just lost control of himself and shot him.
Was Jack known to have a booze problem?
Never. A drinker, you mean? Never. He never smoked.
Never smoked, never drank?
Very, very little.
Sold it, but he didn't drink it?
Right. Well, very clean living. You can't sell it in Texas at that time. They had to bring your own bottle in unless it was a private. It was a different setup in Texas. Oswald was not a drinker either.
Not at all?
Probably not at all.
Mm-hmm.
But Jack definitely not. Never smoked. So very clean life.
And eliminate impetus from elsewhere.
Right.
Alcohol, drugs.
Never used any of that.
On the parts of either.
Now, well, Jack was a health nut. He was working out every day. He was at the YMC every day.
As a matter of fact, in prison after...
Right, he did. He had push-ups and...
Constantly, push-ups.
And that's where one of the places he met many of the policemen he became friendly with because they were going to the Y.
You're his brother. I know you went to visit him
many times.
Many times. And did he maintain that it was just sincere outrage at a president of the United States, whom he personally happened to like, being assassinated as the only reason, the only motivation for him to go get that Oswald?
Well, one other reason was that he didn't want Jacqueline and the Kennedy family to go through the trial.
So it was a streak of vigilantism.
Right.
I see.
He wanted to thought in the back of his mind, but when he saw Oswald come out with a snicker on his face, it just turned him off.
Getting back to the point where Mr. Oswald was shot by Brother Jack Ruby, that does not, superficially to me at least, appear to be a mortal wound where he was shot in that area of the stomach.
Right.
The medical technology that was in place at that time. Why did he die?
I gave you one reason. I'm reading his autopsy report.
You think he was beaten up?
I can't prove that.
Okay. It's 8:28. Alan Adelson, Detroit attorney for Jack Ruby. Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother, here on this assassination. And pretty soon, get ready. WXYZ News Talk Time 8:31. Kevin Joyce with you, and Alan Adelson, Detroit attorney, who at one point in this whole scenario surrounding the assassination of President Kennedy was Jack Ruby's attorney. Jack Ruby, in turn, was the assassin who took care of the Kennedy assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, in that very infamous tunnel or lower area, lower reach of the Dallas police station. Also in studio with us, Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother. And at one point, Earl did visit with Jack on his deathbed, and you did record,
Yes.
his last words.
That he did not and never knew Oswald. And Oswald never entered his club that he knew of.
That he knew of.
And his manager or anybody else there, except the MC who was looking for publicity.
Mm-hmm.
But it never helped him because the Warren Commission didn't recognize him telling those or making up the story.
One last thing before we get to calls. Alan Adelson, at what point did you come into the Jack Ruby situation as an attorney?
Just about when he died.
Just about the end.
Yeah, when he died.
Did you handle his estate for him?
Yes.
All right. Was it substantial?
Well, we had a gun, a suit, a ring, a watch, and that's about it.
Not even an insurance policy?
Not even an insurance policy.
Okay. WXYZ toll-free lines are open for you. Southfield, Berkeley, Beverly Hills, 353-TALK. Livonia, Canton, phone 425-TALK. Detroit, Dearborn, 873-TALK. We go to Warren. Mary, you're on WXYZ.
Two questions, Kevin.
Yes, ma'am.
How were the police able to find Oswald in the theater so rapidly?
It was
almost like a setup.
No, if you recall, as I said earlier, Oswald shot the officer Tippett, and now we had a cop killer. He went out onto Jefferson Avenue, and it was extremely hot for him. That is, there were police officers, guys patrolling up and down.
In other words, he was trailed?
No, he wasn't trailed. He was there hiding, actually. He was standing in front of a shoe store. When a police car went by, he would turn into the window, and the salesman inside saw him and thought it was suspicious, so he watched him. The salesman went outside and followed him as he snuck into the theater.
I see.
And then he talked to the lady at the box office, and she called the police, and they came right over, and he was arrested.
Well, it's more of a comment. You know, Nixon had to reveal his tapes, and I think for 55 years hence, we're going to be questioning this. And I think a lot of this could have been settled if the papers were not sealed for 75 years, and that includes Martin Luther King. Now, why can't we get those papers on Kennedy?
Can you tell me what papers aren't out now?
Pardon?
What papers are not out now?
They're sealed by Congress.
Who told you that they're not out now?
Well, they are not out. They are sealed, and supposedly even the Kennedy family.
The only thing that is sealed are the pictures of the autopsy, and other people who can understand them are allowed to see them. There is nothing today through the truth of information that you can't get.
I don't believe that.
Well, Mary, thank you for calling. 835 at WXYZ. We are indeed fortunate to have with us in studio Alan Adelson, former attorney for Jack Ruby toward the end of his life on this earth, and Earl Ruby, Jack's brother, who operates a business here in the metropolitan area of Detroit. Both of you grew up in Detroit.
No, I was born and raised in Chicago. Came here in '61 to purchase Kobo cleaners.
Okay, fine. I was talking about that in the office today. I thought you were from Chicago.
Yes.
And people said, no, the Rubies are from Detroit, and Jack must have gone to Chicago. And no, from Chicago.
Right.
All right. We've got that cleared up, at least to our satisfaction. Let's get the calls from Southfield. Maxine, you're on WXYZ.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hi, Maxine.
Mr. Adelson and Mr. Ruby, I'd like to ask one question. It always puzzled me that Jack Ruby got cancer, and no one was allowed to question him during the time that he was ill. And I always felt when Martha Mitchell got cancer during the Watergate era, that they were both injected with cancer cells. Now, is there anything to my theory?
When I was down in Dallas to receive the autopsy report with Earl's sister, Eva, she asked me the same question. And I posed that question to Dr. Earl Rose, the medical examiner in Dallas County. And he said, to his knowledge, there is absolutely no way that anybody can be injected with cancer cells and they'll take. Cancer is something It comes from your environment and your heredity, according to what he told me.
Well, also, let me add something. This is Earl Ruby.
Yes?
Jack was complaining to me as I visited him almost every month during the time he spent almost 3 years in jail. He was complaining of pains in his chest for at least a year before he died. But none of us thought that it was cancer. We thought it was colitis or something caused by the effect of the going to the electric chair. Sure.
I understand. Well, my theory in that was that I always felt with your brother and with this Martha Mitchell and with the CIA that they were injected with cancer cells. And I think if you went a little further medically, I think a wild person can be injected with cancer cells.
Okay, Maxine, thank you for calling. Good to hear from you at 8:38 at WXYZ. Alan Adelson, Jack Ruby's attorney. Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother. November 22nd, 20th anniversary of the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. This Thanksgiving, say to Attorney Alan Adelson, former attorney for Jack Ruby, and Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother. We go to Berkeley, and Tom, you're on WXYZ.
Hello, Mr. Joyce and Mr. Anderson and Ruby. I have a question. Rick and Steve, even though there was a camaraderie with the police between your brother and the Dallas police, why would they allow him in that garage at that time? I mean, wasn't that supposed to be secluded and just to police personnel only? Why was he allowed to go into that garage? Well, it wasn't a garage. It was a basement, and it's a little bit of a story. He had closed his club that weekend, and one of his girls in Fort Worth called him because she needed some money to pay her rent. So he promised to go downtown to the only open Western Union that day, and he would telegraph her some money. Well, he went downtown as he promised, and he went into the Western Union office and was stamped in at 10:19. I'm not exactly sure at that. 10:19, I think it was, and 10:18 and then 10:19. Twice they stamped him in the morning. And he telegraphed the money, and then he walked outside of the Western Union office, and he looked down the street, which is, the Western Union office is practically attached to the police station. He looked down the street, and he saw a bunch of people moving around the area where the ramp goes down. And he walked towards it, and just as he got there, the police officer who was guiding there, Napoleon Daniels, walked out into the street because there was a car coming up. In the car was Lieutenant Pierce. And Jack walked down the ramp as the car was coming up, and then, of course, when he got to the bottom of the ramp, that's what happened. He was not invited into the police station, that's for sure. Just sort of wandered in. Well, he just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Did he ever regret being there? Did he ever have any guilt about having been in that spot, and maybe he wouldn't have shot Oswald? Well, let me say this. After the assassination, immediately after the shooting of Oswald, there were a number of people that were waiting around the other end of the route that Oswald was going to take to see him at that end. And they were all interviewed. Several of them were interviewed, and they all thought Jack did the right thing at that time. I heard that earlier today on the report that the crowd cheered. That was the... Right. Well, this is Earl Ruby. However, Jack did admit to me that he was sorry. He did shoot Oswald for all the trouble he caused his family, and he did, as they stated, was sorry for doing it.
Tom, thank you for calling. So good to hear from you. 8:42 our time at WXYZ with Alan Adelson, attorney for Jack Ruby toward the end of his life. Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother. Alan Adelson has written a book. He's a Detroit lawyer. And he maintains that Lee Harvey Oswald was going to use the event of his shooting at, or actually shooting the president, as a ticket into utopia, as he viewed Castro's Cuba at that time in his life. Cuba had kept him out. That simple. He wanted to go to Cuba. This was his admission ticket, he thought, in his twisted 43 our time. Let's go to calls after I give you some phone lines for you to get to us. WXYZ Talk to Me lines open at 353-TALK. If you're phoning from Mount Clemens, Fraser, or St. Clair Shores, you can save by dialing 353-TALK when you talk to me and to
Earl Ruby and Alan Adelson at...
And when I saw that, when Jack Ruby shot, I got on my knees and I thanked him that he killed him. I said, I hope he dies. And I don't smoke and I don't drink either. So then we're sorry, but I'm impulsive. So I guess he figured the same way. That's how I could understand what he did.
Okay, Ann, thank you for your input. It's a different angle, I'll tell you. Earl, anything about Jack and Ann?
Ann, if you're listening,
she is.
Jack received hundreds of telegrams and thousands of letters from all over the world congratulating him and thanking him for what he did.
8:54 our time. Thank you, Ann, for calling. Indeed, there is another dimension to this, the signs of the zodiac and how they determine our futures and our activities and our actions. Do you believe this?
No.
Earl doesn't believe it. Alan Adelson is a hard-bitten attorney.
I don't believe it.
Doesn't believe it either. Okay, let's get on to calls from Southfield. Dave, you're on WXYZ.
Yeah, this is Dave, first-time caller from Southfield.
Hi, Dave.
This has been very enlightening, but I just wondered why Jack was carrying a gun that morning.
The reason he was carrying a gun was because he was carrying his money, and he had the money in the trunk of his car. He carried the gun whenever he had his receipts to take to the bank.
And he had $2,300 in the trunk of his car at that time. And as Alan said before, in Texas, like 70% of the men at that time carried guns. So it was nothing unusual.
They carried them out in the streets for breakfast?
Sure.
They carried them wherever they went.
I can attest to that from personal experience.
That's
no
right.
question.
Even some of the women there carried guns at that time.
Yeah, I thought his business was closed.
It was. But he was going to the bank
with the
$2,300
on the previous day.
No. He was closed since Friday. But the whole weekend, he got himself worked up over this assassination, which is another story in and of itself. He worked himself up, and he never got to the bank. And that's why he had the money with him.
Well, okay.
And he was closed in respect to the death of the president.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
Dave, thank you for calling. Good question. Ready for Jack Ruby at the end of his life. Jack Ruby's brother in studio. Alan Adelson has written a new book. He contends his hypothesis, now drawn into a theory, I guess, that Lee Harvey Oswald used the assassination, or at least the simulation of assassination, probably in the beginning, not realizing that he could actually pull it off, as his passport into Cuba, which in his twisted mind he figured would get him where he wanted to go, into Castro's utopia. They wouldn't let him in when he wanted to get in just a few days and weeks before. That's what Alan Adelson says. He's closer to the case than you or I. Earl Ruby, closest of all of us. Let's get to calls. From Grosse Ile, David, you're on WXYZ. David? Have we lost you, David?
I'm a first-time caller.
Yes, sir.
My question is for Mr. Adelson. The one film taken of the actual shooting showed that President Kennedy's head snapped back from the impact of the shot. Yet he was shot in the back of the head. And my question is, surely the impact of the shot would have pushed his head forward rather than backward.
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We will attempt to answer this as best we can at the moment. If we need you to stay with us through the news, will you?
Thank you.
Okay, David? Go ahead, Al.
That is an excellent question. It's one of the things that bothered me, too. But you have to understand that Abraham Zapruder film was at a speed of approximately 30 frames a second. The velocity of the bullet was 2,000 feet a second before it struck the president, slowed down to about 1,000 feet per second as it exited. The frame that you see, the first frame is approximately frame 319. I'm guessing again, I'm not sure of it. At frame 317 or 319, you see the first time the president is being struck. He is going forward. Then, the next frame on the Zapruder film, he's going backwards. What had happened? The bullet passed through his head, and the brain material, at this time, the next frame, was squirting out of his head, and it was a jet effect going backwards.
Okay. David, stay with us. There's an order amplify on with Alan Adelson, former Jack Ruby attorney, and Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother, right here at WXYZ on this anniversary. WXYZ phone lines now open for your calls to the following toll-free numbers. 353-TALK toll-free from Southfield, Hazel Park, or Franklin. 425-TALK toll-free from Garden City or Westland. 873-TALK toll-free from Allen Park, Highland Park, and Harper Woods. Attorney Adelson's contention is it's the basis of his book that Lee Harvey Oswald wanted to use an attempted shooting or maybe even the actual shooting of President Kennedy, any president, or an event like this. This one presented itself because the president went to Dallas as his passport to Cuba, which didn't want to let him in just prior to this. Okay? That is the basis of Alan Adelson's new tome, which is yet to be published. Let's get to Livonia. Jean, you're on WXYZ.
Yes, hi, Kevin and Ruby and Adelson. I have two things to talk about. I saw both on TV the killing of Lee Oswald by Ruby and also when President Kennedy was shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I still contend that President Kennedy was shot from the front. And while I was watching the TV, on the screen at that time, 20 years ago, I noticed that there was a man behind like a horse. The wooden horses that they had on the streets to keep the pedestrians or cars away from the certain areas.
Yes.
There was a man behind there. It looked like he was shooting. And there was a gun on the right-hand side of the knoll where the grassy knoll was on the other side. And I've never seen that film again. Now, if they ran that film again, I wish they would. I don't know what station it was on.
That would be on the news account that evening of the president's assassination?
Exactly, when he was being shot. His head was going forward and then backward. There was a man ahead, as you saw on the TV scene.
Well, first of all, the only motion pictures of that event, the Zapruder film, that's an individual have to be taking Super 8 movies for his own family's use.
No, this was on the...
And wait a minute, it had to be several hours after the assassination because that film had to be processed, the FBI supervised that, and then had to be released to the press. So you didn't see that film for some time.
They showing when he was on the parade and he was going through the Dallas on that parade.
Oh, live?
A TV cameraman on there.
Oh, when he was shown live in the parade?
I'm not talking about that film. I'm talking about actual scenes when he was riding in the car and it was taken by the TV cameraman.
There was no live coverage at all of that event. None. Absolutely zero television coverage of that event.
There couldn't have been because the television camera was in the van behind the president's motorcade that was following it up for the news people.
Yeah, so what they shooting at?
That was the pool. It was the pool, right. Yeah. And there's no way that they were taking pictures of that.
There was no live transmission of this event.
No.
Not even locally.
Well, whatever I saw was still on the TV.
People swear they saw it live. They didn't.
It was on the right-hand side of the car, and maybe the left-hand side of the car going forward, in other words.
Well, why didn't they grab him? If you saw him shooting, everybody else saw him shooting. Why didn't they grab him?
How would I know why they didn't grab him? Because there was a man by himself. I could see that on him.
I think that whatever you saw, you were deceived by something. It just didn't exist.
Gene, thank you very much for calling. 912 at WXYZ as we continue with Alan Adelson, Jack Ruby's attorney, Earl Ruby, Jack Ruby's brother. WXYZ toll-free lines are open for you if you're calling from Trenton, Riverview, Lincoln Park, Grosse Ile, and Wyandotte areas. Phone 873-TALK and save when you talk to all three of us at WXYZ. News Talk Time 914. We continue with a discussion of the Kennedy assassination and the aftermath and the motivation that attorney from Detroit, Alan Adelson, says was a passport back to Cuba for Lee Harvey Oswald. Alan, in your research that you did for your book, did you find any evidence that Oswald had in his head that he actually would kill this president?
I don't think he intended to kill, but let me say this. He wanted to get close. And you have to go up to that 6th floor, look out that window, and see...
Which you've done?
Oh, yes. And see the incline going down onto the underpass. And watch the cars. They look like they're standing still as they go down. They don't look like they're moving. When I was watching, they were going 50, 60 miles an hour. The president wasn't going more than 5 or 6 miles an hour. So it was such an easy shot to hit him. Anybody could have done it if they had any experience with a rifle.
Now, he was a Marine marksman.
He was a marksman in the Marine.
He had his marksman's badge.
Low grade, but he was a marksman. And he, as we have heard, and there's no direct evidence of this, he would take his rifle and go and practice with it at times. He almost shot General Walker. He came down close to shooting General Walker.
You think that was the same rationale. I will prove my fealty to Fidel.
I don't think that he had that in his mind when he went out to Walker. He just hated Walker. Walker was the symbol of everything that he didn't like.
Right.
That was just
Also, he told his wife that he was going to kill Nixon.
Oh, she locked him in the bathroom.
He was going to kill Nixon.
She locked him in the bathroom.
She locked him in the bathroom. He was going to go out to get Nixon.
So he just was out to do something.
Well, he would do anything to achieve his end.
Yes, which was, as you say, go to Cuba.
No, you said in my book, that's not the only thing in my book. As a matter of fact, that's a very, very small part of it. I tell a story about Jack Ruby and what happened to him after the trial and what he went through. A story that hasn't been told. The whole book is a story that hasn't been told. It's my story of what happened to this man.
And you're going to tell us more of that as we go along.
If we go along.
Okay, let's go to calls right now from Detroit. John, you're on WXYZ.
Yeah, I was sitting right by Channel 4. And the first shot rang out. This man is up on the overpass shooting. One woman standing out in the crowd, she said she had to fall down or the man was shooting behind her. Now, I haven't heard that picture or seen it since. Channel 4. I'm close enough to the television to put my hand on it. And the man was shooting down on the ground. One's on the overpass. They had to go on the overpass, didn't they? I know it's in there, Texas. There's the overpass down there.
And so you maintain that it was shown on television.
It was shown on television. Channel 4. I was close to put my hand on it.
Well, that would be NBC. That there was a man shown
shooting from an overpass.
Shooting at the president's car from an overpass. And only shown once.
And one man's on the ground shooting. The woman said she had to fall down. Couldn't get shot herself.
I think
that picture's always been shown since. I haven't heard anybody say very about it. It's on Channel 4.
Well, John, I'll tell you, both gentlemen here who are very much more into this whole situation than I are nodding no. It didn't happen. There must be some mistake, and two different events are being compressed into one, and that's a human tendency. I do it myself, John. I thank you for calling. 9:17 our time at WXYZ. Jack Ruby, The Untold Story. Alan Adelson.
When you say untold story, Jack, after the trial, he thought up to that time that he was going to walk out of the courtroom a free man. Melvin Belli kept telling him that. You're going to walk out of here. And Belli used the theory of what's called psychomotor epilepsy. That if you read Crichton's book, I forgot the name of it right now, about, it was a movie too. You do something and you don't realize you've done it. You shoot when you don't realize you've done it. Well, after the trial, he became disillusioned. And he believed that, and he was reading the book Exodus. And if you recall in the book Exodus, there's a section in there about the ghetto in Warsaw. And he believed that Lyndon Johnson was going to bring all the Jewish people in the United States into Dallas and execute them, Hitler style. And he really believed this. And he would only talk to his brother about it, his sister about it, only to his close relations. And he kept it from the authorities. Well, as a result of that, his polygraph exam was thrown out. He would start talking about things that he knew nothing about. He would say, when he dies, they'll find out what really happened. He said, take me to Washington. I want to see the president. I want to talk to him. He did that in the Warren Commission. He asked Earl Warren if he could go to Washington. He went, in a way, off his rocker. Now, the psychiatrist that the last one to see him told me that it was called paranoid state, was his state of mind. And I think, Earl, you can explain what you saw there. You were there when you talked to your brother after the trial.
Well, like Alan just stated, at times he was irrational when he spoke to me. And I was of the opinion that perhaps they were brainwashing him there. But we could never prove anything. In any event, at times he spoke like way out, exactly what Alan...
You realize that that's a tremendous accusation to make, that the authorities in the Texas penal system would somehow, or are there, brainwash a prisoner. By the way, how long was he in for? Was it life or less?
No, he wasn't even convicted when he died. The conviction was set aside,
and he was getting ready to...
but he was in jail 3 years.
Yeah, he was in jail for 3 years, but his conviction was reversed, and it was when the sheriff came from Wichita Falls, where the new trial was going to be, he would not move Jack Ruby because he said this man is too ill to be moved.
So you think that maybe there was some sort of stimulus given him, like electric shock treatment, for lack of a better term?
The closest he came to that is when he tried to allegedly kill himself. He put his finger in the electric bulb.
Put his finger in the